In this lesson, we'll talk a little bit more about working with different kinds of files in ZBrush. So let's say we have a project open here. This is a little worm guy that we're going to be creating later on. And so, he's in edit mode. I'm able to sculpt him and do whatever I want to him. And now I want to save it out. Well, there's different options for saving. So you may think we want to save the document. So we'll go up to Document, and we'll go to Save As. And what's nice about this in this version of ZBrush is that it actually will give you a little warning here. So if I go to Save As, it's going to say, you know what, I have, there's actually a tool that's in edit mode. Do you actually want to save the document, or do you want to save the tool? And if you want to save just the image of the actual document, so with it still will have depth and everything, but you're not going to have the ability to edit the 3D model, then you can go to Save the Document. So choose Save Document, go to our files. You can see that we have the ZBR extension here for the document. And so we can call this something worm image, and we can go ahead and save it. If, however, we want to be able to save this tool, you can see here, if you get this issue here where you're able to rotate this, but you see another copy, all you have to do is hit Control-N to clear the canvas. Assuming we want to be able to draw this tool out again and be able to edit it and bring it in if we're working on a 3D model, we actually want to be able to save the Z tool. And if you wanted to, at that option where it said you want to actually save the tool, you could have just clicked Save Tool, or you can also go in here into our tool palette and choose Save As. This will enable us to choose, okay, this is our worm tool, and we'll go ahead and save that out. Now that will just save this particular tool with all the subtools that you see here on the canvas. And then at a later time, you can go ahead and load that back up, draw it out, go to edit mode, and continue working. With your with your document, you're not going to be able to do that. It's just going to be kind of a flat image with depth. Now, what if you want to save more than just a single Z tool? Maybe you have a number of Z tools in here that you want to actually save. So here you can see I've got a number of different things that I've been working with, and they're all, if I load this up, you can see all of those listed in here. I want to be able to access those quickly. Well, we can actually save a Z project as well. So in this case, to save a Z project, we go to File, and so instead of Document, instead of the tool palette, we're going to File, choose Save As, and then we can choose to save this as a Z project. So that if I kind of take a look and you've got all these Z tools here, if I go ahead and clear this out by initializing our interface here, kind of take that back to default, you can see there's no other tools in here. If I want to bring back that worm tool, I can go ahead and load Z tool, choose the tool, and it'll go ahead and load it up into our sort of bucket here, and then I can just draw it onto the canvas and go to edit mode, and now I'm editing it. Okay. Now you'll notice that a lot of the other tools are not here, available. So I don't have a lot of tools, and also the material, it doesn't look quite the same because the materials have changed. So if I, instead of loading up a Z tool, if I load up a project, so I'll go to Open, project was changed, like saved, no. I'll go ahead and open up this Z project that I saved out, and open that up instead of the individual Z tool. And that'll just allow me to open up, so you can see the materials look a bit better. You can see I've got all of the other Z tools that I was working with here available. You'll see if we go into material, we've got some custom materials in here, whereas if we go ahead and initialize that, those materials sort of go away, and then when we bring in our tool, it's looking for those materials that aren't there. And so just keep in mind, if you want to save more information than just what you have with your Z tool, then you can utilize the Z project, which is under File. And that'll also save the rest of your tools. So it's going to be a larger file. If you're just sculpting on a particular model or poly painting and you're doing incremental saves, then you probably don't want to use Z projects. But once you've got everything in here, maybe the Z project is a way to go. Once you've got a lot of different things set up that you don't want to lose when you just save out the particular Z tool, that can be a way to go with that. Now we also have the ability here in ZBrush, it'll save actually automatically, which is nice, and it won't overwrite anything that you've done. So any of your manual saves, the auto saving feature will not overwrite those. You can also do a quick save. By default, the hotkey for that is 9, so it'll just go ahead and save that. And then under preferences, you also have the ability under quick save, you can choose, okay, how long do I want it to be before it'll actually save this out, so that I make sure not to lose any work. And then you can say, okay, if I'm not doing anything in ZBrush for a minute, go ahead and save. If I'm idle for a minute, you can choose to skip the history, and then you can choose, you know, how many files you want to be able to save for that. And those quick saves will actually be located in your users public documents folder. There's a ZBrush data folder in there, and you can find those there. But if you want to access those and just bring those back up, if something happens, unexpectedly crashes or something like that, you can always go into Lightbox and you can choose quick save, and then you can see that you can access some of your last saved files here, and go ahead and just click on those and load those up. So you don't have to go necessarily searching for a particular save. ZBrush will actually keep track of those for you. All right, so just keep those things in mind when you're saving out models. I also want to just show you one thing here. If we go to this Polymesh 3D star, I'm just going to use this. I've got it in edit mode. I just want to import my own OBJ file. And so to do that, we'll use import and export to deal with OBJ files, just kind of raw geometry. So we'll go to import. Let's choose this worm low and open that up. And so here you can see I've just got a piece of low resolution geometry that I've imported as an OBJ. So if you've got a model that you're creating in another application, you can go ahead and export that out, load it up as an OBJ here in ZBrush, and now we're ready to start subdividing and sculpting and creating all of our detail, and treating this just as we would any other 3D mesh in our tool palette. Okay, so again, Z documents are going to save the image with depth. So think of that as like a 2D illustration, 2.5D illustration. Z tools will save the actual geometry that you're working on. Z project will save the geometry along with any other Z tools that you have loaded up and a lot of different information. So if you really want to save everything, you can use a Z project. But if you're just working on iterations of a Z tool, probably just want to save that Z tool out. Okay? And you can access any of those Z tools that you've loaded up here in the tool palette. So next, let's talk a little bit more about some of the display options that we have here in ZBrush, and then we'll get started setting up reference images and transforming 3D objects, and eventually get to some of the more exciting stuff like subdividing geometry and doing our sculpting and painting here in ZBrush. So we'll go ahead and keep going by talking about display options in the next lesson.